जहांगीर भारत की सांस्कृतिक धरोहर से बहुत ज्यादा प्रभावित हैं।
I've always felt that our cultural heritage, the Indian cultural heritage, is almost overwhelming. It's so strong, particularly I think in sculpture. I mean, you take Ajanta, you take Ellora. I'm giving two rather hackneyed examples, and there are many, if one really thought of it seriously, that one could give. But all these are sculptural. The great temples carved out of stone, the great monolithic monuments that have been built out of stone. You take Khajuraho, the whole world knows about it, and it is unique. You take the Taj, again hackneyed, but absolutely magnificent and irreplaceable. I think the classic tradition that I'm in will remain, because it has remained for hundreds and hundreds of years, both in the East and the West.
जहांगीर की पत्नी का मानना है कि जहांगीर का काम ही उनके सच्चे भारतीय होने का प्रमाण है।
One thing hasn't changed in all these years that I have known Jehangir, his commitment to his work. Even now, if he's not in his studio, he's not happy. When he's not well, he's fretting to get back to his studio to work. And he, who is a very self-confident person, the only time I find his confidence flagging is period when he hasn't been able to work. So this is very important to him. This is one thing that hasn't changed. I'll tell you what is truly Indian about Jehangir, and that is his empathy for the Indian countryside, the Indian landscape, and that comes out in his work. I have never thought, he's never been able to paint a foreign landscape well, but when it comes to India, especially the Sahyadris or the whole Deccan Plateau, his works really catch the essence. So I think that's the most Indian part of him, truly Indian part of him, not put on.
I've always been intrigued by the way in which his vision seems to belong to somewhere else, and the way in which he renders it meaningful to us in the present. So it seems to carry the resonance of a very, very distant time and place, but it's also sensuously immediate.
जहांगीर का मानना है कि भारत में सभी धर्मों का सम्मान होता है और उन्हें यहाँ पर कभी भी पारसी होने की वजह से किसी भेदभाव का सामना नहीं करना पड़ा।
India as it stands today, India as it was. I mean, again, we are a very old tradition, a very old culture. And what has been wonderful in India, this I stress particularly, is its plurality. It has always been a plural society. It's only politics that have injected, and that too, there's always been that to an extent, but now more than ever, that causes frictions and fights between communities, which basically, with the people, I don't believe exists. Whatever particular denomination you come from, particular within the structure, the multi-structured India, whether you're Muslim, you're Hindu, you're an infinitesimal small portion, a minority like myself, the Parsi, I think India has welcomed and really brought to its heart and bosom all these people and allowed them to worship and allowed them to live freely. What is your contribution as a person, as a professional, and as a human being? And I would lay the stress towards the last one. As a human being, I think becomes even the most important item. And to that extent, India is wonderful in allowing the immense freedom that it does allow everybody, the Christian world as well. So I have a great respect, naturally, after all, I was born in India, feeling for India.
जहांगीर के अनुसार आज भारतीय युवाओं के पास अनेक सुनहरे अवसर मौजूद हैं, जो कि उनके समय में नहीं थे। यही वजह है कि आज बहुत से अप्रवासी भारतीय स्वदेश लौट रहे हैं।
This whole question of young Indians, particularly I'm talking of years ago, my time, when young Indians were desperately wanting to go abroad, very much so. And when they did, there was always the feeling from all sides. Parents thought about it, the young think about it themselves. Will I ever come back? Will I ever come back to my country, my homeland? And in those days, I'm afraid the chances were that very few would bother to come back. But this, I'm talking of, was a long time ago. Things have changed, and changed, I personally think, very, very much for the better. So that the brain drain that we are talking about is in a way now reversed, in the sense that though there are those young who still go and who may not come back, the majority, I think, will come back. In fact, I have no hesitation to say that the attractions of their own country have grown so much, so extensively, in every kind of sphere. Whether you're going to study business and you come back, we're offering opportunities here at home in India that were inconceivable 40 years ago. And whatever it is, this awful term, the second-class citizen, who wants to be a second-class citizen in a foreign country when you have the hope that you're a first-class citizen in your own country? So I think there's no question about it. They're going to come back, they are coming back, and opportunities are growing.
वतन की याद जब पल पल सताने लगे, परदेश में दिन काटे नहीं कटते, और बस लौटने का मन करता है सरसों के खेतों में, आम के बगीचों में। स्वदेश के इस सफर में हमने आपको रूबरू करवाया कुछ ऐसे लोगों से जिन्होंने 7 समंदर पार अपनी काबिलियत का लोहा मनवाया और फिर ठानी अपनी कामयाबी अपने हमवतनों के साथ बांटने की। हमारे इस सफर में हम सफर बनिए और अपने सुझाव हमें भेजते रहिए।